Picture this. America's most trusted talk show host is perched on a sun-drenched Maui veranda, gently asking working-class viewers for spare change while her own 70-acre estate looms in the background. One click, $10, instant virtue. At first it feels like generosity, until you remember that she pockets more every minute than most families see in a year. That jolt of cognitive dissonance is where our story begins, and the rabbit hole only gets stranger from here. Long before the vineyards and private jets, Oprah Winfrey was pure lightning in a Chicago studio, unpolished, magnetic, impossible to ignore. Viewers swore she could read their hearts through the camera lens. But charisma is also currency, and she invested every kilowatt. The feel-good exclusives and teary confessions turned into a billion-dollar engine that sold not just products but beliefs. If it made you cry, it must be true. In 2008, her charisma vaulted from daytime sofas to ballot boxes when she publicly backed a then-junior senator named Barack Obama. Analysts later calculated that her stump speeches and televised rallies delivered roughly 1 million extra primary votes, more than some 8-figure super PACs managed. Overnight, the book club bump became a political tailwind, proving her real product wasn't literature or lifestyle tips at all. It was trust, rentable to whoever captured her spotlight. Years later, Joe Rogan stared at that empire and muttered that we'd all been spoon-fed propaganda by a woman who isn't a reporter at all, but a propagandist. Megyn Kelly, eyebrows raised to the ceiling, agreed. The veil had slipped. The first real crack appeared in 2006 with The Secret. One on-air endorsement and a slim paperback promising witchcraft shot to 20 million copies sold. Viewers were told the universe works like same-day shipping for positive thoughts. Skeptics called it a high-functioning con game with glitter. Cancer patients skipped treatment to visualize a cure. Debt-strapped families prayed over mood boards. Oprah watched sales soar. Critics winced, and the show rolled on. Enter Dr. Oz, her homegrown, America's doctor. One day he was touting real cardiology, the next he was pushing raspberry ketone miracles like bargain bin superhero serum. Rogan's eyebrow rose so high it developed its own orbit. "This is your guy?" he scoffed. When Oz tried to trade daytime panaceas for a Senate seat, Oprah endorsed his opponent without a hint of irony. Then there was Dr. Phil, the couchside general who made yelling at teenagers into national pastime. Kelly didn't mince words. Oprah had unleashed a motivational menace on daytime TV and simply nodded along. By now the pattern was undeniable. Platform, profit, and when things got messy, distance. Still, the public was willing to forgive until August 2023, when Hawaiian Hills burned and Oprah paired with Dwayne Johnson to launch the People's Fund of Maui. The optics were brutal, a billionaire asking firefighters' widows for $10 donations. Social feeds erupted. Conspiracy theories about land grabs spread like embers, and for the first time the queen of daytime looked oddly tone-deaf, even defensive. She filmed emotional cell phone videos from a manicured lawn while locals fretted over who'd rebuild their homes. Yet a decade earlier, the same host was hailed as a post-Katrina savior for quietly writing multi-million-dollar checks to rebuild schools in New Orleans. That contrast, unadvertised generosity then, camera-ready appeals now, turn the Maui backlash into a case study on how public memory works. One era's angel can become another era's tone-deaf billionaire the moment the optics shift. It wasn't that she stopped giving. It was that the giving began to feel like a televised transaction, and audiences sensed the receipt was meant for them. Rumblings grew louder when weight loss wonder drug Ozempic burst into pop culture. For decades, Oprah preached body positivity from every mountaintop, until whispers of a sudden slim down surfaced online. She'd called the drug an easy way out, yet her silhouette was shrinking faster than a dryer shrunken sweater. Rogan grinned. Kelly all but rolled her eyes. Viewers sensed a pivot was coming, but the timing would prove even more shocking. Just before that reveal, another silence spoke volumes. In 2019, after HBO's Leaving Neverland, Oprah interviewed the accusers, but failed to probe glaring contradictions in their stories. A complete fail of journalism, Kelly snapped. 2 years later, she repeated the pattern with Meghan Markle, airing explosive claims of royal racism without pressing for evidence. Each time controversy swirled, the questions stopped, the soft lighting returned, and the brand marched on untouched. Yet nothing displays the sheer scale of Oprah's influence like her wellness bazaar. Jade egg gurus, scented candle lines, five-figure retreats complete with cucumber water and soul-cleansing breathwork. Rogan nailed the absurdity. A franchise on vague nonsense, while Kelly torched the hypocrisy of preaching simplicity in a $12,000 coat. Underneath the velvet slogans lies a meticulously curated cash machine, trademarked and fragrance-tested. You'd think backlash might slow her down, but it turns out criticism slides off motivational Teflon. Still, the stage was set. Contradictory wellness pitches, selective silences, billionaire charity optics, and a looming drug-fueled transformation. If the spell was finally cracking, what would it take to break it wide open? But the next twist would hit harder than a book club plot turn, because when the queen of authenticity admits she's been taking the very shortcut she dismissed, the empire's foundation shakes, and the echoes reach far beyond the studio lights. Missing from the headlines was a quieter subplot. 2 years before the Ozempic reveal, she'd scooped up $43 million worth of Weight Watchers stock at a bargain price, then recorded a primetime special about mindful eating that sent shares skyward. Analysts called it the Oprah halo, a Midas touch so reliable Wall Street built spreadsheets around it. When she later cashed out a chunk for a 9-figure gain, critics wondered whether the halo was really just a spotlight she could swivel at will, and whether the next pivot had already been priced in. The confession landed with the subtlety of a dropped mic. Oprah revealed she'd been using GLP-1 weight loss meds all along and promptly resigned from the Weight Watchers board, citing a conflict of interest. Stockholders watched their stakes shrivel as shares plunged. Fans watched decades of body positivity messaging flip like a pint-sized pancake. Rogan cackled. Kelly's sarcasm meter blew a fuse. After years of "love the skin you're in," the moral of the story suddenly hinged on a prescription pen. Audience trust, already wobbling, started to buckle. What made the pivot sting was the timing. Only months earlier, she'd suggested medicated slimming was cheating. Now she praised the science, framed herself as part of a nationwide conversation, and urged compassion. Viewers felt the whiplash. Had self-acceptance been sincere, or was it a holding pattern until pharmaceutical winds shifted? Critics sharpened knives, yet the Empire's PR machine rolled out tearful sound bites and meadow-lit portraits, banking on old magic to soothe new doubts. Meanwhile, the selective silence file kept expanding. Remember the Michael Jackson special? No tough questions about lawsuits or money motives, Kelly reminded us, branding the sit-down dishonest. Meghan Markle's claims sailed through unchallenged. Even Kamala Harris dodged a follow-up on gun control when cameras rolled, proving that where awkward facts threaten the narrative, they simply vanish. Oprah's interview style, eyes moist, voice hushed, casts a spell so potent the audience forgets journalism ever required friction. Yet friction is exactly what her wellness catalog needs to keep selling. There's a candle for clarity, a journal for gratitude, a retreat promising transcendence. Each product feels personal because she has mastered the sacred pause, that soft-voiced, beat-and-a-half gap where you feel seen. Rogan called it Cathedral of Self-Worship, built brick by brick out of televised confessions. Kelly sliced deeper. 1 minute Oprah sobs about injustice. The next she poses in couture on the cover of her own magazine, hawking lifestyle wisdom to readers who can't afford the throw pillow in the photo shoot. Now roll back the curtain further. Dr. Oz tries politics. Dr. Phil stalks TikTok memes. The secret still shifts units in airport kiosks. Each branch traces back to a single root: Oprah's ability to convert vulnerability into brand equity. She sells intuition the way Silicon Valley sells disruption: slick, vague, and absurdly profitable. But every sale carries unintended fallout. Families skipping chemo for manifestation, voters swayed by a gut feeling, parents trusting raspberry ketone miracles instead of nutrition labels. The Empire's glow obscures the collateral damage. Still, there's an even deeper irony. The Queen of Authenticity relies on an image guarded tighter than Fort Knox. Rogan looked almost impressed by her industrial-strength curation. Lighting, camera angles, post-production filters. Nothing is accidental. Authenticity has wardrobe consultants and focus groups. Vulnerability is scheduled between hair and makeup. The paradox might be hilarious if it weren't so persuasive. So where does that leave the rest of us? We stand in the afterglow of 4 decades of soft-focus sermons, trying to reconcile empowerment with marketing, empathy with net worth. Maybe Oprah truly believes every quote she frames in gold leaf. Maybe she's simply the greatest storyteller television ever minted. Either way, the moral authority she wields dwarfs that of entire newsrooms, yet she answers to none of their standards. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly weren't the first to notice the cracks. They were merely the loudest to say the quiet part out loud. The Empress has no ethical wardrobe, only designer empathy. Their roast left a glitter-covered empire smoldering. And once you've seen the smoke, you can't unsee it. That doesn't mean the spell is broken, but it does mean the audience finally has the flashlight. Here's the question the Maui Fund, the Ozempic pivot, the Manifest Your Destiny craze all circle. Can a billionaire built on feelings still preach truth in an age of receipts? Every platform comes with responsibility. Every retreat, scented candle, and soft-lit sit-down is an invitation to ask, who benefits and at what cost? Maybe, in the end, the most radical act isn't canceling your book club subscription or tossing the gratitude journal. It's watching with the sound on and the spell off, recognizing when inspiration is genuine and when it's a high-margin upsell. Because the next time someone in designer linen whispers that the universe is listening, you'll know to check the price tag on the Sage bundle before you breathe in. So let the final takeaway be this. Enlightenment doesn't come with a promo code, and authenticity can't be lit like a candle. If the Queen of Daytime wants to keep her throne, she'll need more than soft focus and curated tears. She'll need answers. Until then, the dawn of skepticism has broken, and the couch confessions will never feel quite the same. Because here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. The audience finally has better fact-checking tools than the host. Real-time transcripts, side-by-side soundbites, and viral clip compilations mean every softened follow-up is time-stamped and dissected within minutes. In an era where a single TikTok thread can unravel a 4-decade narrative, even the most polished confessional needs more than soft lighting. It needs unflinching transparency, or the spell breaks on contact.